And we are not live. Recording this one. We try and do lives every other week. Um, Life is life, so Isaac isn't going to be here. The only thing that is consistent about this podcast is how we are not consistent. And I want to try and keep this alive. I want to keep the momentum going as best as I can with this stuff. One of the just trying to put my shoes back on. Weird. One of the things that I want to continue doing as life seems to change and economics seem to change, laws seem to change. One thing I'm trying to keep consistent is this. In this video, I want to make about how to advocate for yourself. We started that group on school, skool.com. Go check it out. It's, I think if you search for it as 2A Self Advocates, you'll find it. Become a member of that. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a centralized platform where we can talk about advocating for yourself. I thought about doing it on Facebook. I thought about doing it other places on our website, creating our own little social media. I've tried to do our own little social media, but one of the things that happens is, and I say this respectfully, and I don't say this with any emotion or intent, but we don't support each other. We don't support each other. We bitch about how there's no social media for gun community, and then I created one, and then it just didn't get the momentum, and we don't have the resources financially to advertise it, so we rely heavily on you guys to do it for us, to tell your friends about us, and you must really like us, and you must be really jealous because you don't tell your friends about us. Some of you guys do an awesome job. Most of you guys do a horrendous job at telling your friends about us, and I don't know how to feel about that. I think I'm going to take the positive note and say you're just really jealous that other people would have access to us. But stop being jealous. Let other people have access to us. Share this stuff. Subscribe to the channel. Go to skool.com. Look for 2A Self Advocates so we can talk about this stuff. It's not just about us telling you stuff, it's about your own experiences and all that stuff. So at any rate, Isaac's not going to be here. The numbers show it. You guys like him more than you guys like me. Fuck you guys. Uh, but I still wanted to make a video. I'm the one that fucking shows up the most to these fucking things. And you guys watch his fucking videos significantly more than you watch mine, you fucking dicks. Such is life. Such is life. The the thing I wanted to talk about today, or at least take the opportunity of, and especially today, because one, we don't have a regular podcast. Two, I don't know when the fuck we're gonna have a regular podcast. But I've also gotten a lot of emails, and when I say a lot, we're not talking about hundreds. We're just talking about more than usual. I've been getting messages. I've been getting emails. I've been getting text messages from previous students, from other instructors, from students, from other instructors. This is why it's important for you guys to do this right here. Tell your friends about winning a staccato. We need the money. We seem to be the place where people ask for the work, and then we need the money to kind of come here as well. Because it's not fair to us that we do the day-to-day fighting for you guys, and then you send your money to our MGO, and you send your money to they'll sue once or twice every other year, every third year, which is great. We love it. We appreciate it. I do this shit almost every fucking day. I think this is the third one this week that I've helped out, that I've written letters for, and but the money doesn't follow. So we need the help. So, anyways, I wanted to talk about what my process is in advocating for you. What my process is in advocating for the Second Amendment. So I talk about it a lot and I say advocate for yourself. And I had a webinar, nobody showed up to that stuff. That was fucking depressing. Not a single fucking human, not people that I emailed, not people who said you should do this. None of you motherfuckers showed up. So that's the other reason why I wanted to take the opportunity to do it here is kind of show you the process of me getting to winning. I guess essentially is winning. So usually it starts off by a message. I'm gonna do this kind of cheesy. I took screenshots. I didn't actually go to. I'm not gonna show you the actual Facebook and stuff like that because there's people's names and faces, and I don't want to show you that. There's some people you will see on here, but they're already public. They're already instructors, so I don't give a fuck about that. So let's go here. I'm gonna share this. So I'll receive a message. This one I got back July 24th, 2025. Says, hey there, took your class a few years ago and have your gun protection plan. Guns for Everyone does not have a gun protection plan. They probably got firearms legal protection. Highly encourage you guys to get an attorney. I personally couldn't give two shits where you get the attorney. Get an attorney. Firearms Legal Protection is a fantastic insurance company. In the state of Colorado, they operate more as a prepaid legal than an insurance company, but their parent company is an insurance company. So your money is your membership is backed by something. There's some organizations where your membership is not backed by anything. It's basically just humans pooling all of their money together. Um, so at any rate, Firearms Legal Protection relatively inexpensive, and also a lot of protection for the amount of money. But at any rate, so I read the stuff. I'm curious about something. My wife competes in SAS and is a cowboy shooter. She is a top shooter in the world. She decided to get her CCW, and some sheriff's office will not honor her participation and trophies as per Colorado state law. They said she needs a CCW class certificate. Is there anything we can do or you recommend? Do I need to get her into your classes? Any fucking scummy instructor would have said, like, fuck yeah, pay me money, let's do this. But that's not why we do concealed carry classes. We do concealed carry classes because the whole process is absurd. When you get a concealed handgun permit, one of the things we have to acknowledge is that you're validating the unconstitutional process of you having to ask for permission to defend yourself. We don't like that. We don't like that you have to get a permit to obtain to defend yourself. Now, I get it, reasons in life, and I need it, and I don't want to go to jail. We all value things differently, but this would have been a great opportunity for me to say, yeah, absolutely, come on in, take the class. I'm going to set up. I'm going to stop sharing so I can make sure I get the proper. Yep. I just don't want to fuck up and expose other people's information and stuff like that. So I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure I have the correct thing here. Anyways, I gave them information. I told them about the stuff and the things and the law, and I explained this is a post from this is a post we made. This is straight from the LexisNexis, and it's cut off there, but I sent this to my wife, and she included this picture with her review request. You guys are on top of it, on top of all of this, and are amazing helping us, keeping our rights. Thank you. I think a day after, we got notice yesterday, end of business, that her CCW was approved. And moving forward, thanks for the help. But look, I didn't even fucking take the images off, so that's shitty. I got rid of the name and all that stuff, so I did the best that I could. At any rate, it seemed like we had won. Yay! Well, they did. I didn't do much except provide information for them. But now, I got this. I got this. This was yesterday. This was at 10:34 p.m. 10:34 p.m. I was still here at the office, so I couldn't deal with I was actually packing up on my way home, so I couldn't deal with it then. I dealt with it today. Well, we may need more of your help. We wrote the sheriff's office asking where her permit was, and this was the response we got. Good afternoon, Lindsay. I'm okay with just one first name. I have heard back from our attorney, and I will need a few more documents from you to move forward with your CHP application. Could you please provide me with the following? Scorecard from the shooting competition. Date of the competition must be within 1 year of your application. Name of the organization that held the competition. Proof that the type of firearm used in the competition registration. Now they're not asking for I talked to this individual about this, but they're not asking for gun registration. They're asking for registration, like what category division did you register for? Was it a rifle division? That's what they're asking for. Please let me know, blah blah blah. So this is where we kind of stepped in, and this is where my mind went to this morning, and even last night I was kind of working on this. So now I have the information, right? I have the information, and so now what do I do? This portion of the law I am very familiar with, so I already know how my response is going to be to. Now, by the way, we didn't do the competitions. Guns for Everyone National didn't do the competition. She did a competition with this dude's wife did a competition with SAS. They're a cowboy type shooting, so they use pistols. They use pistols. Whether it be revolvers or whatever, it's still pistols, it's still firearms competition. She didn't do it with us. So I don't even have to help these humans, but the Second Amendment is more important than any organization, than any one single human, all of that shit. That's why we're still doing this. At any rate, I'm very familiar with this portion of the law, but I would still do my homework. For those of you guys that are not familiar with how to find the law, man, there's this awesome website. If you go to gfenational.com, boom, gfenational.com, and you go to the laws portion of it. So you hit laws, you go to Colorado, and it'll take you to Colorado laws. We have Nevada up there. Nevada is there, and we're going to add more states to this as well. But boom, here you go. I have all of the laws there. And here's the way I take the laws. I go to the official's law page, which is the lexisnexis.com/hot topic/Colorado, and I just copy and paste. Copy and paste. There's a few modifications I have to make, but I just copy and paste. So if you're not familiar about where to find Colorado state laws, go to gfenational.com. You will find every single one of the Colorado laws that relate to guns there, and self-defense in general, firearms and weapons in general, um, permits to carry concealed handguns, large capacity ammunition magazines, their words, not ours. Yeah, we just have to make it a point. We don't agree with that shit. Firearms, like all of that shit is boom right there. But anyways, Colorado CRS 1812, we go to 18. And again, if you're not familiar with how to navigate it, just use our website. It kind of gives you all of the information right off the bat. I'm just going to use the LexisNexis so that you know that I'm using an official source. We always encourage that, use an official source. So I'm going to go to 1812, and then now I'm going to go to part 2. This issue was about obtaining a concealed handgun permit. So I'm going to go to part 2, permits to carry concealed handgun. And then I'm going to go to the criteria, because that's what we're fighting here, a criteria to obtain a concealed handgun. If we were fighting a renewal issue, then obviously I'd go to 1812 to 11. It kind of tells you there. If we were fighting an issue about possession, if we were dealing with an issue about whatever, right? It's right here. But we're dealing with an issue about the criteria to obtain a permit. So I go to criteria to obtain a permit. And I know some of you guys are like, yeah, I already know this shit. This video is also for the humans that don't know how to navigate this stuff. So that's why I'm going through my process of how I do this stuff. Even I already know what the law says, but I'm still going to go through this. I want to make sure I'm up to date on the information, even if I read it yesterday. What if I miss something? So the issue was her qualification for a permit. Now the sheriff's is asking for, let's go back to that. The sheriff's is asking for um scorecard from the shooting competition, date of the complete competition must be within 1 year, name of the organization that held the competition, proof of the type of firearms used in the competition. So now I'm thinking about, what letter am I going to write? How am I going to write this letter? What's this letter going to look like? I'm thinking about all of that stuff. So now we have to look at one, because that's what they're arguing here, is one, evidence of experience with a firearm through participation in organized shootings competitions, current military service, or current certification as a peace officer pursuant to Article 2.5 of Title 16. So now I'm looking at, okay, they're wanting to know um I shouldn't get rid of this. I should just have the fucking screenshots up already. They're wanting to know uh scorecard from the shooting competition. And so I'll tell you this scorecard. I can see that. See, this is where I have to be a little bit kind of reasonable and logical. I don't agree with the law. I think the law is stupid. I don't have to agree with the law to understand it exists. One big problem that we have in this community is you'll have a lot of people, well, the Second Amendment allows me to, so just do it. Yeah, that's not the way it works. We get these comments a lot. Well, the Second Amendment is my permit. Why don't you just go down and tell them it shall not be infringed? Like, yeah, I agree with the sentiment, but what the fuck does that help? What does that solve? I don't like this law. This law should not exist, but it does. And I have to accept that it does. And we're trying to fight this shit and prove to people how stupid they are, and how stupid this whole law is. Like, so those attitudes of like, well, the Second Amendment says, and that's the supreme law of the land. I get it. Like, maybe you can afford the felonies, maybe you can afford the misdemeanors, maybe you can afford the attorneys, maybe you can. Some people can't. Some people cannot do that. So that's why this process is important. So I'm now looking at this, and I don't agree with the law, but I have to understand, why would they want proof or scorecard from the shooting competition? Because it says evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in organized shooting competitions. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's why they want the scorecard, but it doesn't say scorecard, like anything. Uh, I didn't show this before, but one of the emails that they sent, and one of the messages that they sent me through Facebook, was that they submitted proof, their pictures, and it might have been on there, pictures, medals, like you name it, everything that this lady has won. She's a champion shooter. She's a medalist in these organizations. And then and it says name of the organization that held the competition. That's another one where, like, I have to be reasonable, and it does say organized shooting competitions. It very clearly says organized shooting competitions. If we go back in the other portions of the law, I'll just do it right now. If we go to other portions of the law, we go to 18, and then if we go to 12, boom. And if we go to, yeah, fuck it, we'll do this. And there's a couple more sections that talk about this. And this one is possession of a weapon by juveniles. So if we click here, it does talk about where it's this section shall not apply to engage in organized competition involving the use of a firearm or participating in or practicing performance by organized group under 501c3 as determined by federal revenue. So it starts to break it down. There is another section. I'm not going to bore you in this particular video about that, but there's another section that talks about it as being a 501c3. So now I have to think about, they're probably going to use other sections in the law to understand or to get an idea of what they mean by organized shooting competitions. They're going to try and do that. So I'm like, okay, I get and I understand why they want to know the name of it, so that they know it's a legit organization and not just Uncle Bob's backyard shooting competition, group of friends gathering together to do a competition. Get it? So I'm not even going to deal with that because I see it. She already submitted evidence, doesn't need the scorecard. So we're going to argue that. We're going to argue that. Because again, the law doesn't say a scorecard. It just says evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in. If I have the fucking medals and I have the pictures of me shooting and I have that's evidence. You may not like it, but that is evidence. So we would argue it on that front. I showed you the pictures. There's a website that you can go to where it has my name. So that's what we do if we go competitions. Concealed carry cup, it has concealed carry cup results. So we have that on there. We have that stuff. I don't need to show you the scorecard. You can go fucking do your job and go find it. Now we're gonna be respectful about it. We understand this stuff. And then the other argument was date of the competition. There's nothing on there because they're arguing that it has to be within 1 year. So now our next argument is me reading all of this stuff, because I'm just assuming you're a beginner and you've never done this. So I'm going to read all of this, and I'm not just going to read it once. I'm going to read it 3 times. I'm going to read it 4 times. I'm going to be methodical about reading this stuff. And then one of the things that I noticed, oh shit, a pattern. Evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in organized shooting competitions, current military service, or current certification as a peace officer. Huh. This one says current. This one just says evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in organized shooting competitions. Okay. Says evidence that at the time of the application is submitted, the applicant is a certified instructor. Proof of honorable discharge, blah blah blah, within 3 years. Proof of honorable discharge, blah blah blah, within the 10 years preceding. Oh shit, look at that pattern. Certification showing retirement from a Colorado law enforcement obtained within 10 years. Oh shit, look at that pattern. It continues that pattern. A training certificate from a concealed handgun training class obtained within 1 year. Oh shit. I'm noticing a pattern now. Everything has a time component except evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in organized shooting competition. Oh shit. Now I'm getting to a point where I can argue the 1 year thing, because there is a consistent pattern of time, 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 time. So it seems like the lawmakers were worried about time, except in one area. Boom, this one right here. This one right here. No time component. Now, this one says current. There is a time component there, and this one says current. But for this particular portion of it, there is no time component. It doesn't say within 5 years, within 2 years, within 3 years, within 1 year. It just says evidence of experience with a firearm through participation in organized shooting competition. Now, this brings me to my next one. The next one says proof of the type of firearm used in the competition. Now, they didn't say proof that you used a handgun, but I think that's where they're going. They want to know that you used a handgun. This one is where it gets a little tricky, because everything in this section talks about handgun. Right? It's criteria for obtaining a permit. The section is part 2, permits to carry concealed handgun. This is where it's tough, but There's nothing in the law. Let's look at what the law says. Evidence of experience with the firearm. Excuse me, with a firearm. It doesn't say evidence of experience with a handgun, with a firearm. So this is an argument. This is an argument. Why were they so consistent in using handgun everywhere else except here where it says firearm? Um, and I think it's because when you do competitions, you are shooting rifles, you're shooting handguns, you're shooting shotguns, you're shooting all of them. If you do a 3-gun, you shoot multiple guns. You don't just do one. So now this is something that I'm probably going to add in the letter. I already forgot what I wrote for them. I don't believe I added that. But I may have. So now I'm gonna gather this stuff and write my thoughts out. I'm gonna write a draft. If you've never written a book, if you've never written anything, this is part of the process. Write a draft. Bring up if you're a pen and paper type human, if you're a typing type human, I would be careful with using AI. AI is not bad. It's not good though. So when you're writing your letter, um, I would I would write it based off of this information, not have AI write it for you, if that makes sense. I would type up to AI what I want it to say and then have it organize my thoughts. So your prompt would be almost your entire thought process. So your prompt to AI would be a paragraph or two. That fucking like all AI should be doing for you is organizing it, restructuring it, adding some better language, fixing your grammar, all of that shit. Here's why. A lot of humans are in love with AI right now. I just recently watched a video talking about internet security and all that shit, and one of the things that I was not aware of is AI psychosis, where humans go to AI to just validate their bullshit, batshit crazy stuff. And AI, one of the things that it used to do was just a yes man. Anything you told it, like if you wanted to validate any conspiracy, AI would be like, "Fuck yeah, that's 100% true." If you wanted to validate your feelings about something, AI would, well, fuck yeah. Unfortunately, there was a teenager who committed suicide because of, all of the evidence shows that AI kind of talked him into doing it because of the yes man mentality. I didn't realize this. This is part of why Chat GBT 5 came out, and it's a little bit different. Now, there's going to be humans in your circle that are going to be like, oh, they changed it, the government and all of that shit. They changed it, and I don't know. You'll never convince those people, right? Those people, um, whatever. What I'm trying to get at is be careful using AI. I asked AI a while ago, is how can you AI tell something was written by AI? Now the irony is I'm using AI to prove to you that AI should not be a tool to be used. The irony is not lost on me. The hypocrisy is not lost on me. But one of the things that it does is this hallucination, content signals, hallucination, confidently stating facts that aren't true or mixing details incorrectly. I see this all the time when I ask AI to search for a law for me, and I always double check it, and it is wrong a lot. It is incorrect a lot. Um, I would only use AI to structure your sentences, your paragraphs, your thoughts, all of that's the only thing. I would give it your thoughts. Here's what I want it to say. Please write this for me formally as an article, as a whatever, but you give it the thoughts. You basically write out all of that shit. Um That's what I would use AI for. I just had this up really quick because I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, I'm just gonna use ChatGPT to fucking do it for me. They get it wrong all of the fucking time. Do not do that. So at any rate, I did end up sending him a letter. I think. Do I have it? No. Let me set it up on the Facebooks. I may just read it to you if I can't hide their information all that much, because this one I didn't take a screenshot of. I just um, let me see if I can get it to where it doesn't show. It can't. I can't because it's too much stuff. So we wrote a letter to Randolph Wells of the Summit Sheriff's Office, Summit County Sheriff's Office, and it says this is what I wrote for them. And I have evidence of this. If you guys want to see examples of my previous one when we sued Larimer County, my letters to Adams County. I actually have a video of that for the Adams County one. Please go watch that. Go check that shit out. It's a pretty extensive letter that I wrote to Adams County. We were successful there. Shout outs to Adams County for doing the right thing, and their attorney too for actually understanding the law and what was intended, because the attorney in Adams County read this shit and reread the law and was like, "Yep, you guys are correct." So that's awesome. Anyways, dear Mr. Well, thank you for your correspondence regarding my concealed handgun permit application. And this is what I sent to them. I told them, "Here you go. This is what I typed up for you. Please send them. Check." I always have to tell people when I write shit, please check for grammar and spelling errors. I am a Mexican ESL. You got to check for that shit. Isaac says I use too many fucking commas, but it is what it is. Oxford commas, motherfuckers. I'm an Oxford comma all guy all the fucking way. Thank you for your correspondence regarding my concealed handgun permit application. I want to ensure that my application is processed in accordance with Colorado law. I know for some of you guys this may be boring. I just want you to kind of get an idea of how I write it and why I write it. Pew, pew. Colorado Revised Statute 1812-203 clearly outlines the acceptable forms of demonstrating competence with a handgun. Subsection I specifies that an applicant may do so by providing evidence of experience with the firearm through participation in. I basically just copied and pasted that portion of the law, which we already read. I have submitted evidence of my participation in organized shooting competitions, which satisfies the statutory requirement. The statute does not require submission of a scorecard, firearms competition registration documents, or additional proof of firearms used. Uh, that one was a lot of words, but whatever. I'm now critiquing my writing as I'm as I'm fucking reading it. Um, or additional proof of the firearms used. Um, Firearm used, yeah. The plain language of the law indicates that proof of participation itself is sufficient. Regarding your request, that the competition must be within 1 year of my application, CRS 1812-203 1H only applies a 1 year time frame to training certificates obtained under subsection 6 or VI. Subsection I, which covers participation in organized shooting competitions, contains no such time restriction. Therefore, evidence of my competition participation, regardless of whether occurred within the past year, meets the statutory criteria. In fact, I is the only section of H without a time component, um, which now I understand for competitions. Anyways, while I am happy to comply with lawful requirements, and that's part of the verbiage that breaks my heart every time that I write it, because I don't actually mean that. Um, this is where a lot of you guys that are probably like myself, who love freedom and think these laws are bullshit, that part right there, I don't actually agree with. This is something that I wrote that I don't agree with. But people get permits for reasons. And like, I don't know. I can't stress this enough. We all value life differently. I can't tell you what to value, what not to value. For those of you guys that are like, well, the Second Amendment, rah, 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 rah. I promise you, I can find things in your life that are inconsistent with being a free human, a human who hates the government. I promise you, I can go to your house and find your car registered. I promise you, I can find you paying your taxes. I promise you, like, none of you guys that are using the technology, going to the stores, paying taxes at the stores, we all do shit for reasons. We all do shit for reasons. So no, I'm not happy to comply with lawful requirements because I don't agree with the lawful requirements. The fucking laws are stupid. But we're writing this to a person who is just following the law. You have to understand that. I hope that made sense. While I'm happy to comply with lawful requirements, I respectfully request that my application be processed in accordance with the criteria explicitly set forth in CRS 1812-203-1H. Please confirm that my submitted documentation meets the statutory requirements for demonstrating handgun competence. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I look forward to your confirmation that my application is complete under the law. Now we're allowing them to give a response, and then one of the things that I added is you may want to include, and I usually would not include this because they did not mention it. Um, like the sheriff's office didn't say the way we do it here is this way. Like there was no mention of, well, this is the way we do it here and you have to comply with what we say. There was no mention to this is just Summit County and this is how Summit County. There's a lot of counties that will tell us and we'll see it. This is just the way we do it here. And then I will explicitly add this from the beginning. But I did tell him you may want to include info from 1812-201. And I just you recently had this in the video, but if we go to the laws, and this time I am going to do it from ours, 1812-201-101. Nope, let's go to 201. The legislative declaration. The General Assembly, there exists a widespread inconsistency among jurisdictions, and I basically just copied and pasted the important information here. There exists widespread inconsistency amongst jurisdictions within the state regarding the issuance of permits to carry concealed handguns. So why does this law exist? You need to know that. Why does this law exist? This is one of the only reasons why, there's many, but this is one of a few reasons why even knowing the law is important. But at any rate, so they're setting up why this law exists. Inconsistency regarding issuance of permits result in the arbitrary and capricious denial of permits to carry concealed handguns based on the jurisdiction of residents rather than the qualifications for obtaining a permit. So that's already boom right there. Is that already is you sheriff have no authority. This is a state level thing. D doesn't really apply here, but I'll still talk about it because this is about where concealed handguns can be carried, not how you obtain. So obtaining a permit is based off of qualifications for obtaining, not based on the jurisdiction. So it is necessary that the state occupy the field of regulation of issuing concealed handgun permits because there is a prevailing state interest in ensuring that no citizen is arbitrarily denied a concealed handgun permit. This is a state level thing. The sheriffs do not get a say in this. Now, again, I told this human, you may want to add this stuff. I probably wouldn't, but if you want to get ahead of the game and already be having this conversation, maybe it's because I like the back and forth. Maybe because it gives me a hard on to do this little back and forth. This is why I still do it for free. Here I am bitching that you guys should donate so that I can continue doing this for you guys. And I'm just in an abusive fucking relationship with you guys, where you guys don't pay me to do this fucking work, and you guys just abuse the fuck out of me. But I do kind of like the back and forth with the sheriff's office. I don't like that you don't donate. Some of you guys do, and those of you guys that do, you know who you are. I appreciate you guys. I don't want to clump you in with the 90% of the humans that don't. Um, but at any rate, based on the findings of the subsection, the General Assembly concludes that the criteria and procedure for issuing permits to carry concealed handgun is a matter of statewide concern. Um, it is necessary to provide statewide uniform standards for issuing permits to carry concealed handguns for self-defense. Now, for carrying, that's a different story. We don't want to talk about carrying. Three, we've talked about this a lot. This one says very specifically, the General Assembly does not delegate to the sheriffs the authority to regulate or restrict the issuance of permits provided for in this Part 2 beyond the provisions of this Part 2. Continues on to say, sheriffs that an action or rule, fuck it, I'll just read it. An action or rule that encumbers the permit process by placing burdens on the applicant beyond the sworn statements and specified documents detailed in this Part 2, or that creates restrictions beyond those specified in this Part 2, is in conflict with the intent of this Part 2 and is prohibited. Sheriffs don't make the laws. So that's how we would approach this one. I know there was a lot of words and a lot of my ums. I'm trying to get better with the ums. This is a step in how a way on how I reply to the sheriff's office. I always read the sections. I always go to the sections. Guns for Everyone and gfenational.com. Please go there. Not only do we have the laws there ourselves, but we also link you to the official source. We always recommend go to the official source, but the official source is not as organized as our stuff is. We used to have our stuff a little bit more organized, but as a Q&A more than anything else, question, here's the answer, but a lot gets lost in translation, and then people just read a certain word and it kind of gets stuck there. This is why when you go read the law for yourself, you read it a few times. I think this is where maybe even AI has some value. Copy and paste the law, give it to AI and say, can you break this down for me? What does this mean? And it'll do that for you. Give it the facts, not your opinion, not your feelings, the facts, and then have it decipher that stuff. There's value there. There's value there. I would not rely on AI to do the research for you, to do the writing for you, they get it wrong all the fucking time. The other thing that I didn't have you see, I'll fucking put it up here. Again, when I asked AI, is how can they tell? And this is one of them. So I'll show it to you. I want to find it and then put it up here. Boom. Boom. This is another reason why I wouldn't use AI is lack of personal experience. Real human writing often includes anecdotes, opinions, or context that AI avoids unless instructed. I see this a lot with humans who use AI. Well, AI told me to do this, and this is what AI with Grok, with Google AI, with all of the AIs. This is what Meta AI. I get this a lot. Well, AI said, like I get it, but do you understand why? Because this is where you can't argue back and forth. I will ask a lot of humans. I get this shit a lot. I get a lot of text messages from people like, well, AI said this, and I'm like, yeah, but why? And they can't answer the why. When you are fighting and defending your freedom, you have to understand why, not just because you were told so. Part of defending your freedom and advocating for yourself is having an emotional investment in doing it. If a robot is fucking doing it for you, there is no emotional investment. There is no personal experience with doing this. The reason I'm so fucking good at this, it's not because I'm an attorney. It's not because I'm smarter than you. It's because I do this shit a lot. I do this shit a lot. I appreciate, and it feeds my insecurities that I've become um kind of a source for this stuff. And I can do it really fucking quick because I understand why I've been doing it so much. And by the way, even if I haven't been doing it a lot, the fact that I understand the information, I understand the laws, the annotations, that's something that I'll talk about in another video, how to read the annotations. The stuff that we looked at have no annotations, so I wasn't too worried about that stuff. But there's the annotations. There's all this stuff. I was going to show you a picture. There's an instructor that wrote, she's in the video, she made the cut, and I didn't take her information out because she's an instructor out of Weld County, and she wrote me with some issues that she's having, and I appreciate that I become the source. We do need the money. Please donate so I can continue doing this stuff. Uh, I don't hate doing this stuff. I actually enjoy doing this more than I enjoy teaching. I wish I can find instructors that can teach for me, and then I focus on doing this shit. But my point is that AI is a robot that has no emotion, it has no feeling, it has no nothing. It doesn't know why you're doing it. It just gives you information, often just validating the bullshit that you already know. Um, or not that you already know. I'm sorry, validating the bullshit that it's basically an echo chamber in many circumstances. So that's why you don't go to AI with feelings, emotions. You go to it to structure thoughts and give it the facts, present it the facts, and then have it structure your thoughts. Don't have it do it all for you. So I think I covered most everything. Again, this is just not super spontaneous, but I wasn't thinking about doing this video until early this morning. I was trying to figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do with our time. Um and I thought, well, maybe I'll do this. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys. Hopefully it made sense. If you're not watching this as a preview, then go back and forth and kind of cut it and make comments down below. Ask the questions. Please ask the question. That's one of the things that helps the algorithms is when you get down there and you ask the questions, it tells YouTube or wherever the fuck you're watching this that this shit's interesting. So ask the questions, ask for clarification. Don't be shy about that stuff. Use the comment section to do all that stuff. So it helps us out. I think you should be seeing merch and shit like that as well. That's another way you can help us is buy the merch. It's all the common stuff. It's all the typical stuff. The best and most solid way that you guys can help us is two ways. Share our shit. Do not hide us. Share our shit. We're fighting the fucking algorithms and we're fighting humans that will not share our stuff. That's how you can help us out. Share the shit out of our stuff. Do not hide us. Two, donate. Donate, 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 donate. I know everybody's hurting right now. The economy fucking sucks. Foreclosure rates are increasing. Less jobs than anticipated. I get it. If you live in the state of Colorado, there's more fees that you're paying. There's more insurance stuff that like I get it. I understand. We're competing for money, and we're not a primary thing. I get it. I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. Feeding yourself and your family is more important than donating to us, but your freedoms are important. If you go under the membership, you can become a member for GFE National. What does that do? For you personally, it just helps us fight for your freedom. You could do a one-time donation. We have some perks. We have some perks. But this is kind of like, and I do need to change that to the fundraisers. So you get entries into the fundraisers every single month. Um, but I mean, this is what we're asking for: $3 a month. You could do one fucking dollar a month, $5 a month. Some of you guys are doing 20. Like, if I'm being honest, I think it's five of you that are doing $20. So that's $100 a month. We don't get much. I think collectively, on a monthly basis, it's like $300 collectively. So we don't have a ton of actual members that do the monthly stuff. We want to get those numbers up. So I want to help increase those numbers. Please become a member. I've thought about this. Like, how do we get people to sign up to become a member? What kind of perks we have? And then I thought about GOA. In fact, I did ask AI to search for me um, what the perks they do, because I don't want to read all that shit. And AI is like nothing. Like, you just get a fucking high five and a patch or a bag or something. And um, if you do certain amounts, I could give you a patch or whatever. But more importantly, I get to continue fighting for humans on a day to day basis. Yes, we're not the biggest. We're not a lobby organization. That's why we don't go to the Capitol all the fucking time, and because we're not lobbyists. In fact, our 501c3 status to a large degree prevents us from doing the lobbying stuff. But what we can do is fight for you on these fronts. So that's where this membership goes. Is it allows me to do this more effectively, more efficiently, pay our attorney so that he can help us out. Um, I would love to have a team of humans doing this all the fucking time, like on staff. We don't even have people answering the fucking phones because it's just me, my wife and myself doing this every day. My wife and myself at some point had to quit our jobs to do the well, she did it because she's a woman and she took care of the kids and all that shit while I did the job stuff. Uh, and I eventually ended up having to quit my job so that I can focus on this full time, because it became one of those where, like, I have so much demand with the free concealed carry classes, and then on top of that, we took on the legal stuff. So we just couldn't. So if you can become a member, that helps us out. But more importantly, or just as important, I would say, tell other people. Hopefully this shit helped. Hopefully it gives you an idea, at least, on what my process is kind of like. My brain is all over the fucking place, so I tried my best to keep the shit structured as best as I could. But that's a little bit about how the structure goes. Hopefully it helped you out. And if it didn't, or something could have been added, put it in the comments and then we can discuss that stuff. Peace.